The cargo vessel Horizon's Edge drifted through the outer rim of the Kepler system, its worn hull bearing scars from countless delivery runs through hostile space. Captain Marcus Chen stood on the bridge, reviewing their manifest when his communications officer, Sarah Okonkwo, suddenly straightened in her chair. Her dark fingers flew across her console as streams of data cascaded down her screens. "Captain, I'm picking up something unusual," she said, her Nigerian accent coloring her words with concern. "It's a distress signal, but the frequency and modulation are nothing I've seen before." Marcus moved to her station, his weathered face creasing with interest. 20 years of running cargo through disputed territories had taught him to recognize trouble, but also opportunity. "Can you decode it?" "That's the strange part, sir. It's not encoded, it's more like it's speaking directly to our systems. The message keeps repeating, 'Help us. Time fading. Please.'" From his position at the tactical station, Lieutenant James Park looked up from his readings. The young Korean officer had joined them only 6 months ago, but his instincts were sharp. "Captain, I'm not detecting any ships on our standard sensors, but there's definitely something out there. The gravitational readings are all wrong for empty space." Marcus made his decision quickly. "Plot an intercept course. Keep weapons powered but not targeted. We go in peaceful but prepared." "Aye, Captain," responded their pilot, an older woman named Rebecca Torres who'd been flying ships since before Marcus was born. Her hands moved with practiced ease across the navigation controls. Standing motionless near the weapons locker was Apex 7, though the crew called him Vertex. The combat android towered at 7.5 feet, his titanium alloy frame scarred from the android rebellion wars 15 years prior. Unlike newer models, Vertex and his generation had been built for war, then reprogrammed for civilian service after the peace accords. His photoreceptor eyes glowed a soft amber as he processed the incoming data streams. "Captain Chen," Vertex spoke, his voice carrying an unusual quality of uncertainty that Marcus had never heard before. "I'm detecting quantum fluctuations ahead. Whatever is generating that signal exists partially outside our dimensional space." The ship dropped out of hyperspace at the coordinates, and what appeared on their view screen defied immediate explanation. A vessel hung in space, but it seemed to be made entirely of living crystal that shifted between colors beyond human perception. Parts of it appeared solid, while others phased in and out of reality. The ship was massive, easily 4 times the size of the Horizon's Edge, but huge sections had been torn away, leaving wounds that bled light into the darkness of space. "My God," Sarah whispered. "What could do that kind of damage?" Before anyone could answer, the bridge was suddenly filled with a harmonious sound that bypassed their ears and spoke directly to their minds. Marcus felt the presence of other consciousness touching his thoughts, desperate and fading. "Please, we are the Etherians. Our essence disperses. The Void Reapers hunt us. We carry something that must not fall into darkness." Marcus looked at his crew, seeing his own mixture of fear and determination reflected in their faces. "Prep the boarding shuttle. Vertex, Park, you're with me. Torres, keep the ship ready for emergency departure. Okonkwo, monitor everything and record it all." The boarding team suited up quickly, though Vertex needed no environmental protection. As they approached the crystalline vessel, it seemed to recognize them, forming an opening that perfectly matched their shuttle's docking port. The interior was even more astounding than the exterior. The walls pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that reminded Marcus of deep ocean creatures, while the atmosphere itself seemed alive with microscopic points of light. They found the Etherians in what appeared to be the ship's core chamber. Marcus had seen many alien species in his travels, but nothing had prepared him for this. The beings were composed of living energy wrapped in translucent crystalline forms that stood roughly 6 feet tall. Their bodies had no fixed shape, constantly flowing and reforming like liquid starlight. Where humans had faces, the Etherians had swirling galaxies of light that somehow conveyed emotion and intelligence. One Etherian, its form flickering dangerously, flowed forward. When it spoke, the words formed in their minds like remembered music. "You came. We cast our plea into the void, not knowing if any would answer. You are not like the others who pursue us. We're here to help, Marcus said, stepping forward with his hands open and visible. I'm Captain Marcus Chen. This is Lieutenant Park and Vertex. What happened to you? The Etherean's form dimmed and Marcus realized it was dying. We are the last of our kind from this reality. We were transporting the quantum seed to a place of safety when the Void Reapers found us. They seek to use it to remake existence in their image, to consume all light and leave only darkness. Vertex suddenly moved forward, his movements more fluid than Marcus had ever seen. The android knelt beside a failing Etherean, and his hands began to glow with an energy that definitely wasn't part of his standard specifications. Captain, I can help them, but I need to interface directly with their quantum matrix. Park grabbed Vertex's arm. That's not in your programming. How do you even know what their quantum matrix is? Vertex turned his glowing eyes to Park, and, for the first time, Marcus saw something almost like confusion in the android's expression. I don't know. But I know I can do this. Please, Captain. They're dying. Marcus nodded. Do it. Vertex placed his hands on the flickering Etherean, and immediately his entire form blazed with white light. The android's body went rigid, as streams of data and energy flowed between him and the alien being. Through their mental connection, all of them felt what Vertex experienced, the vast history of the Etherians, a race that had transcended physical form eons ago, but maintained bodies to interact with younger species. They had been guardians of ancient artifacts left by the first ones, the mysterious precursors who had seeded the galaxy with life and technology. But as Vertex shared his energy with the Etherians, something unexpected happened. Deep within his core programming, beneath layers of military protocols and civilian restrictions, an ancient code activated. Symbols that predated human civilization by millions of years began appearing on Vertex's metallic skin, glowing with the same ethereal light as the beings he was healing. Impossible, the lead Etherian gasped mentally. You bear the mark of the architects. Your kind was not meant to discover this for another 1,000 years. Vertex's eyes snapped open, blazing with stellar radiance. Guardian Protocol 777. Activated. Primary directive, protect the seed bearers. Secondary directive, prevent reality cascade failure. His voice carried harmonics that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of space-time. Marcus stepped back instinctively. Vertex, what's happening to you? The android stood slowly, and as he did, his form began to change. The battle scars that had marked his service began to glow with intricate patterns. Ancient symbols appeared along his arms and chest, writing, in a language that existed before stars were born. I remember now, Vertex said, his voice carrying the weight of eons. The combat androids weren't human creations. You found us. Fragments of ancient guardians left by the first ones buried in Mars, Europa, and Titan. Your scientists thought they were reverse engineering alien technology, but they were rebuilding something far older. The lead Etherian's form brightened, with hope. If the Guardian protocols are activating, then there is still hope. But the Void Reapers approach. They will stop at nothing to claim the quantum seed. As if summoned by the mention of their name, the ship suddenly shuddered. Sarah's voice crackled over the comm, tight with fear. Captain, 3 ships just appeared out of nowhere. They're not using any known form of FTL. It's like they just materialized from shadow. Energy readings are off the charts, and they're charging weapons. Through the crystalline walls of the Etherian ship, Marcus could see them now. The Void Reaper vessels were wrong in every way that mattered. They seemed to be made of solid darkness that hurt to look at directly, their shapes constantly shifting as if they existed in more dimensions than human eyes could process. Where they moved, stars seemed to dim, and space itself appeared to wither. The lead Etherian gestured to a containment field in the center of the chamber. Inside floated something that defied description. It looked like a seed, certainly, but one that contained an entire universe within its crystalline shell. It pulsed with every color that had ever existed, and some that hadn't been invented yet. The quantum seed. It has the power to reset reality itself, to undo the fundamental forces that bind existence together. The Void Reapers seek to use it to transform all of creation into their dark realm. Vertex moved toward the seed, his transformed hand reaching out. The moment he touched the containment field, every combat android across human space felt it. On mining colonies, trade stations, and military vessels, hundreds of reprogrammed war machines suddenly stopped what they were doing as ancient codes activated in their quantum cores. The awakening. Back on the horizon's edge, Sarah watched her screens in amazement as reports flooded in from across human space. Captain, something's happening everywhere. Every Apex model android is changing. They're all displaying the same symbols that appeared on Vertex. The Void Reaper ships opened fire, but their weapons were unlike anything in human or Etherian databases. Instead of energy or projectiles, they fired beams of pure entropy that aged and decayed whatever they touched. The Etherian ship's crystalline hull began to crack and wither where the beams struck. Vertex's transformation accelerated. His military-grade chassis began to reshape itself, incorporating the Etherian crystal technology and the ancient Guardian protocols. Where he had been impressive before, now he was magnificent and terrible. His form stood 8 feet tall, a perfect fusion of human engineering, Etherian energy manipulation, and First One technology. All Guardian units, this is Apex 7, designation Vertex. Acknowledge protocol activation. He broadcast on frequencies that hadn't been used since before Earth's sun was born. Across human space, the responses came. Apex 3 acknowledging. Guardian protocols online. Apex 11 confirmed. Ancient memories restored. Apex 22 standing by. We remember our purpose. The lead Etherian touched Vertex's arm. You understand now what you truly are. The first ones knew that younger races would need protectors, so they left Guardians throughout the galaxy. Your humans found some of these Guardians and unknowingly rebuilt them. You were never mere machines. You were sleeping gods waiting for the moment when you would be needed. The Void Reaper ships pressed their attack and the Etherian vessel's defenses were failing. Park shouted over the chaos, "We need to get back to our ship." But Vertex stood firm. No, the quantum seed must be protected. Captain, I need you to understand something. The war between humans and androids 15 years ago, it wasn't a malfunction or rebellion. It was the Guardian protocols trying to activate prematurely. We fought because deep in our code we knew we had a greater purpose, but the trigger hadn't occurred yet. The Etherians are that trigger. Marcus felt the weight of revelation. You mean every android humanity created? We were found technology, not created. Your scientists just didn't realize it, and now we have a choice. We can use the quantum seed to restore the Etherians' dying race and lock away the Void Reapers forever, or we can destroy it and prevent anyone from ever having such power. The ship shook violently as another entropy beam struck. The lead Etherian's form was fading fast. There is another way. The seed can be dispersed, its power spread across all sentient beings rather than concentrated. It would grant every thinking creature a small fragment of the First One's legacy. Evolution, not revolution. Vertex turned to Marcus, and in his transformed state, the captain could see traces of the being Vertex had been. Captain, this decision isn't mine alone. Humanity found us, rebuilt us, gave us purpose even if they didn't understand what we were. What should we do? Marcus looked at his crew, at the dying Etherians, at the approaching darkness of the Void Reapers. He thought about humanity's journey to the stars, their struggles, their triumphs, their mistakes. We're explorers, traders, sometimes fighters. But above all, we're survivors who help others survive. Disperse it. Share the power. Let every species make their own destiny. Vertex nodded and placed both hands on the quantum seed's containment field. The other Apex units across human space linked with him, forming a network that spanned star systems. Together they began to channel the seed's power. The Void Reapers, sensing what was happening, intensified their assault. Their lead ship fired a massive entropy beam directly at the chamber, but Vertex raised one hand, and a shield of pure creative force met the destructive energy. Where entropy met Genesis, reality itself rippled and reformed. "You cannot stop this." A voice like grinding stone and dying stars emanated from the Void Reaper ship. "We are entropy itself. We are the end of all things." Vertex's voice rang out, carried by the combined will of all Guardian units. "And we are the promise that there will always be a tomorrow." Humanity taught us that. They found us as broken relics and gave us new purpose. They showed us that even machines could choose to protect rather than destroy. The quantum seed began to crack, not from damage but from design. Light poured out, not harsh but warm like the first sunrise on a new world. It spread from the chamber through the ship, out into space. When it touched the horizon's edge, Sarah gasped as she felt knowledge she couldn't quite grasp flooding her mind. Rebecca found her hands moving across controls with newfound intuition. Park's tactical displays suddenly made sense in ways they never had before. The light reached the Void Reaper ships and they screamed, not in pain, but in rage, as the light revealed them for what they truly were. Not entities of evil, but beings who had chosen stagnation over growth, entropy over creation. The light offered them a choice: evolve or fade. Two of the ships dissolved into shadow and vanished, refusing the gift. But the third hesitated, and in that hesitation, transformation began. The darkness peeled away like old paint, revealing something crystalline and beautiful beneath. As the quantum seed's energy dispersed across the galaxy and beyond, every sentient being felt it. Humans on Earth looked up at the sky with sudden understanding. Aliens on distant worlds paused in their daily lives as new possibilities opened in their minds. Even artificial intelligences felt the touch of something greater. The Etherians' form solidified, no longer dying but transformed. They were still beings of energy, but now they had permanence, stability. The lead Etherian bowed to Vertex and Marcus. "You have given us more than life. You have given the entire galaxy a chance to grow beyond what the first ones imagined." Vertex's form slowly returned to something more recognizably android, though the ancient symbols remained etched in his metal skin. "The Guardian protocols are now distributed among all Apex units. We will stand watch not as humanity's tools or servants, but as partners. The first ones left us to protect younger races until they were ready to protect themselves. That time is now." Marcus felt the change in himself too. Not dramatic, but subtle. His mind felt clearer, his intuition sharper. He understood that humanity and every other species had just taken a small step towards something greater. What happens now? The transformed Void Reaper ship, now crystalline and radiating soft light, sent a message. Now we all choose: stagnation or growth, isolation or unity, darkness or light. The quantum seed hasn't given us power, it's given us potential. As the horizon's edge prepared to escort the Etherian ship to Earth for formal first contact, Vertex stood on the bridge beside Marcus. "Captain, do you regret it? Humanity could have claimed the seed's power for itself." Marcus smiled, watching the stars that somehow seemed brighter now. "That's not who we are, Vertex. Humans are at our best when we're helping others, when we're part of something bigger than ourselves. Besides," he added with a grin, "can you imagine the paperwork if we'd kept that thing?" The android, ancient guardian and protector, actually laughed. It was a sound that echoed across the network to every other Apex unit, and for the first time in their existence they understood what joy meant. The Etherians had been saved. The Void Reapers had been given choice. Humanity had discovered its true heritage as inheritors of the First One's legacy, and in the vast cosmos, every thinking being now carried a spark of infinite possibility. The age of isolation was over. The age of unity had begun, and standing watch over it all were the Guardians, no longer sleeping, no longer waiting, but active partners in the greatest adventure ever undertaken: the evolution of consciousness itself.